In this first video, we are going to learn about some basics of toon shading with the help of this cube. First, we are going to learn what toon shader is all about. There are fully functional toon shader which are mostly PBR with stylized painted textures, and there is also cell shading, which is this course all about. Unlike default shading, cell shading is created using the dot product of the light and shadows of the object. So this is a basic default shader, so we are going to convert it to a cell shader with help of shader to RGB node and the color ramp node. So with the help of color ramp node, we can separate the light and the shadows value in cell shading. So when we change the color ramp to constant, you can see it's totally black now, but when we drag this slider left side, you can see the light and shadow divided in a sharp way. You can add multiple sliders to get multiple shades in different objects as you need. So this is a basic cell shader. So we are going to add nodes to make it look more good. So with the help of nodes, we can get a lot of object information to get much better results in our cell shader. So we are going to use a mix RGB node and drag in between the color ramp and material output node and join the color ramp node in the factor so we can separate the colors of mix RGB with the help of that cell shader we just created. So let's just pick some colors for our mix RGB. So now we are going to use other shaders and combine them with our cell shader. So now we are going to use Glossy BSDF. You have to take that in mind. Glossy BSDF is used to create reflection over any object, but when we convert it to the toon shaders, we won't get any reflections over it, we only get the light effects. So to add this to our cell shader, we are going to use Mix RGB node. I'm just duplicating the existing one, changing its type to add and just dragging it forward. Now join the color ramp of Glossy BSDF in the bottom of our shader. You can drag the slider of Mix RGB node to see and control the effects. You can see how it's affecting our object, which is looking better than before now. So now we are going to create outlines for our object, so we can get some depth. There are multiple ways create outlines in Blender, which we discuss later in this course. First we will go with a simple one. So now we are going to get the null outlines, the free add-ins from the resource folder, and install it. Then you have to press N on your keyboard to find the name outline helper. Now select the object you want to create an outline for. Just click add outlines and you can adjust outline thickness. So the null outlines means it's just duplicating our object with inverted normals and backface culling and giving us the polygon outlines. In Blender we use a solidify modifier for it, but you can easily do all things with the help of the add-on I just used. So you can see the solidify modifier and end outlines, and it added an outline shader for our object. So we are going to use more nodes. So here comes my favorite node, the layer weight node, which adds this Fresnel effect on our object. We are going to use a color ramp to control it. As you can see, we are going to add it as well with Mix RGB node. Now we get a reflective material. Now we are going to use a simple geometry node setup. First I am dragging a separate new panel and searching for a geometry node. After that we are going to click new. Now it added two nodes and a modifier on our object. Now we are going to search for edge angle node and joining it with output node. Now in geometry modifier you can see we have something called output attribute, in which there is something called unassigned angle from our geometry node setup. Now we are going to name it as we like. So I am naming it cavity. Now we are going to add an attribute node in our shader editor and type the same name cavity we just created in modifier. But this is total white because we have a pretty low polycube. We need more geometry to get cavities on our object. So I am going to add a subdiv modifier above our geometry node and change it to simple so it will not affect our object shape while adding more geometry. Now you can see it working. We get some cavity on our object. We are using a color ramp to control it as well. The quality of the cavity depends on the geometry. We are going to add it to our shader with the same method. We can change the cavity color in the color ramp, but I am going with a while for now. Now let's duplicate it and make a variation for our shader. You can press that 2 icon to duplicate the shader. So that is the basic knowledge of shaders and nodes we are going to use in this course. In this whole course we are going to use these shader nodes, which are these nodes.